Welcome to the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. It is me, Sal, Mr. Boxing Guru. Thank you, gracias. Thank you for listening once again. To the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. Again, big shout out to Los Anaya for that great intro. Again, that's Los Anaya, Losanaya, Los Anaya. Make sure you guys look for their music on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever good music is listened to. Happy Mexican Independence Day weekend. Actually, I was trying to do this podcast yesterday on Mexican Independence Day, but I'm doing it today on a Tuesday. A lot of fights that happened this weekend, a lot of fights that didn't, and that's exactly what we're going to get into first. Let's throw it out because I'm honestly sick and tired of being sick and tired of fights that don't happen, but other fights end up happening, and I think it takes away from a lot of the good fights that happen. So let's get the bad out of the way before we get to the good. This Saturday on the Zone from Dignity Health Center, I think that's what it's called, Dignity Health Center, formerly known as StubHub, what every boxing fan calls is the War Grounds, which is what StubHub, the Home Depot Center, whatever you want to call it, Carson, California. The tennis court. Jaime Mungia was the main event, always has been the main event, and continue to be the main event. But the big fuss around was because Ryan Garcia, his opponent, unfortunately had a little mishap with the law. The U.S. Marshals showed up or whatnot, and not the marshals that most of us are used to, the ones that our wives take us to, but the U.S. Marshals are actually the cops, the whatever you want to call them. But they showed up because Ryan Garcia's opponent, Avery Sparrow, supposedly had whatever, I don't know, but he had some sort of legal issue that didn't get resolved before he left Philly. It ended up here in California for whatever reason, those that were involved thought it was resolved, but the fact of the matter is, on weigh-in day, they were able to catch up with the kid. They arrested him, and the fight was off. That was the least interesting part because, let's be honest, Sparrow was there to get beat. He was Ryan Garcia's Rod Salka. He was the weakest of the bunch. They picked the guy that's the natural 122-pounder. And they brought him up all the way to 135 to fight a guy that's already too big to be at 135. Ryan Garcia looks like he's walking around at 160 easily, or at least in the mid 150s. But nonetheless, he's fighting a kid that's natural weight. It's 122 pounds. They brought him because he's small. He's not only is he small, but he has little power. And he wasn't going to be able to hurt Ryan. So they picked, again, they Rod Salka the shit out of the situation. They picked the weakest link they had from Tanahara, which supposedly, according to Ryan, he is his height. But he has no power. They also opted out of the Duno fight because it was, according to swag fighters and YouTube fighters, a guy like Romero Duno is a come forward fighter, and he has nothing to offer, and defense is not his trait. So Ryan wanted a tougher match than Sparrow. A tougher match he got because Sparrow was a no-show again the day of the weigh-in. He got arrested and whatnot, and they had to go to Plan B and Plan C, and that's something that I believe during the week Golden Boy and Garcia's advisors or whatever you want to call them, had an idea about what was going on. Now, at that point, Ryan Garcia was offered, again, his original choice, which was Romero Duno, which was a very good opponent, in my opinion. Opponent that I think, in my opinion, the guy with the talents of Garcia could have beaten to the punch fairly easy too, in my opinion. I mean, yes, Romero has the big right hand and whatnot, but very beatable fight for the young Garcia. Ryan Garcia declined to fight because he said he wasn't going to fight the fight, or at least the rumors that came out of his team is that Romero Duno was too tough. However, for the right money, he was available to do it. Rumors have it that he wanted, I don't know, 20 times is minimum, which again, fighters do sign a contract, and this contract is for a minimum amount. So let's say, just throw a number out there, 15,000. So a fighter signs a contract for his first, I don't know, first 5 years he's fighting for 15,000. That's the minimum they could offer him. Again, that's what most promoters offer, the minimum of whatever you sign in that contract. But Ryan didn't think that was good enough, and I agree. At this point, Ryan, has been built up. He's been developed into somewhat of an attraction. So he wants to get the, rewarded as such. And I think he was. I mean, when you're out here making over 10 times your minimum, because I think that's what the kid like Ryan was offered, even to fight such a soft opponent as Sparrow, he was offered, which, again, let's throw a number, 150,000. So if a kid's fighting for 150,000, again, a developmental fight. Again, these fights are developmental fights. These are fights that are programmed for you to win. You're not fighting for a world title. You're not fighting quality opposition. You're fighting fights that are predetermined. They already have a predetermined winner. If your fight is not even on the sports book, you already know who's going to win. There's absolutely no chance this kid is going to win. The guy, again, in this case, Sparrow, is there to help you build your resume. Is there to create certain angles, but we all know, your promoter knows, your team knows, everybody knows that this guy is not going to beat you. And you decline the opponent, which is, again, that's my problem. Why decline a fighter like Duno? Duno he hasn't beaten anybody of note. He's gone to war with a couple of Golden Boys prospects, but that's it. He hasn't beaten the name himself. So why the eagerness of one, declining yourself, one, pricing yourself out from again, I'm just basing this off of rumors. Rumors are saying that Ryan Garcia was asking to face a fighter like Duno $500,000. He tried taking the opportunity out of already bad situation and tried asking for money that he's never made, that quite possibly might never make, all to fight, bad opposition. Again, Duno's a good fighter. I think Ryan Garcia would have beaten, especially that version of Duno that showed up on Saturday. But to ask for ridiculous money, it's really a disservice to himself. Look, again, like I said, the first fights as a fighter's coming in, Ryan's fighting a lot, and I get that. But the first fights, I would say the first, again, independent on the prospect, but again, like for example, a guy like Ryan, the first 20 to 30 fights are developmental fights that are there to build up your career. They're what I like to call welfare fights. These are the fights that the promoter, again, predetermines and gives you, and almost they're what you call freebies. And that's what happens on a normal prospect. And I get it, Ryan Garcia takes, but the fact of the matter is, to the real fan, not the 12-year-old that's going to the fights that has no idea what's going on, but to the regular fans, he's not doing shit but getting a free fight, a free padded record. So why does a guy for a fight that's a glorified sparring session should get over $150,000? It's beyond me. Especially if Golden Boy had offered up to $200,000 for a fight like Duno. It's ridiculous. And the sad part about all this is look, man, us, the boxing fans, we don't care. I mean, the real boxing fans, we don't care Ryan was in the card. I mean, if he's there, great. If he's not, so what? I mean, it doesn't hurt or benefit us at all. But the ones that suffer were those kids that actually paid to watch him fight, all because the kid wants to do a tantrum. I get it. He wasn't at fault for what happened for his original opponent falling out. But the fact of the matter is that he had an opportunity to do this right. He had the opportunity to, yes, even make more money than he was scheduled to make. by fighting a guy like Duno, by beating a guy like Duno, by shutting me the fuck up. Because I was the one that was saying, you know what, I was egging the Duno fight. If he would have won, which I personally think he would have won, versus a guy like Duno, he would have shut a lot of people up. The people would say, okay, you know what, this kid does have something. But he chose the easy way out, which was, I'm standing my ground. I'm like Muhammad Ali. Not ever compare the shit that you do with what the great Muhammad Ali did at one point. It's completely irrelevant. You saying no to the fight because, plain and simple, you chickened out. And I don't want to blame this on Ryan because, again, I think the kid it's at the end of the day, the kid means well. But it's the people around him. It's and I don't want to blame the new manager or whatnot because I had heard tantrums from the kid and whatnot, but it's almost sad to see where this kid is at because I really think he has raw talent. I don't think he's being developed as such because he's too egocentric to learn anything at this point. So by him focusing on the little change, on the chump change that he could possibly make at some time, at some point, focusing on it now instead of building his record up to maybe make hundreds of millions in the future, he's kind of fucking himself now. He's I know most promoters won't want to work with him. A guy like Bob Arum won't want to work with him. Maybe Heyman will take him in. Maybe Hearn will take him in for whatever amount of time he has left with the zone because we don't know how great the zone thing will last in the long run. Let's be honest. I mean, it might be ahead of his years and all this money that the zone's throwing around just might not be there in a couple of years. So what happens with the kid? Again, and let's kind of take it back. So he declined Duno. They offered him an additional money to fight a guy like Duno. And he still declines because he feels he deserves, and I don't know from where they were going to get this money, but he feels he deserves $500,000 to fight a guy like Duno. That was in the table. To me, what I see is them pricing himself out. These guys, and I'm saying Team Garcia, already looking elsewhere to see, and again, to see how they could maybe opt out of a contract. See how they're upset. And what bothers me is that this isn't the first time they do this. I mean, they've done this with multiple entities where, I mean, as a matter of fact, his own manager, I mean, according to them, they're not working together anymore with sponsors and whatnot. They somehow find a way to, where they don't like something, you just throw whatever work or whatever money that they have been given and just throw it away. It's disrespectful to boxing. That's not what boxing is. And it's just embarrassing. And it's like my dad would say before, eso no es de hombre. That's not men characteristics. That's not what they teach you, and not only in Mexican culture, but in as just to be a man, to cry, to vent, to just act like a little bitch. What did he do yesterday? Like I said, I was doing some notes and making sure I got the podcast ready. And I saw on Twitter and I see people retweeting this kid saying, venting and talking smack about Oscar because Oscar did an interview with the LA Times, and great interview. If you guys have a chance, make sure you guys watch it. This, I think it's from a columnist from the LA Times. And no, not that Dylan Hernandez guy that hates boxing, but a little chubby guy that likes desserts from Dodger Stadium. And he did a column with Oscar De La Hoya, and I think sometimes you could catch Oscar in a good mood, and he's gonna talk to you from the heart. He's gonna tell you exactly how he feels, and that's when he takes his promoter hat off. When he's gonna be brutally honest, and I think that's all he was. He didn't say anything that anybody didn't feel. Ryan Garcia, he mentioned, fighters are not what they used to be, and I think he said the same thing in the zone, and he paid respect, I guess you could say, to the one fighter that he has, which I think most boxing fans are in agreement is the best fighter that Golden Boy has, other than Canelo, is Virgil Ortiz. And for some reason, Ryan decided to throw a tantrum that, if you don't love me, let me go, and all this, you know, I don't even know what I don't even know how to say this without offending the Me Too movement. just I don't know, like millennial traits, I guess you could say. He started crying, "Let me go, please, let me go, get me out of my contract. I'm tired of not standing up for myself. I'm tired of this, tired of that." You should be tired of taking care of all that family, Ryan. You deserve better. You shouldn't have to be. That's who hurt you, kid. That's who's holding you back. You should have continued being an amateur. You should have had the financial backing from your parents, like most people do when they're actually going to college. You shouldn't have to support a whole family, but that's what you're doing. That's what you got into it, and now they're forcing you to be money hungry, not letting you develop like most fighters develop. Why? Because you have 3.4 million followers. All those followers are great in India when the tickets are $20. I saw the stands at StubHub or Dignity Health Center. I'm sure the fighters or the people that bought tickets could have gone and enjoyed themselves. I'm sure they did. There was a lot of people. You didn't sell that many tickets, as many tickets as you think you could sell. So, what happens now with this kid? Personally, like I said, I'm doing this podcast because I'm sick and fucking tired of talking about this kid. I think even me as an adult, I should know better. Kid is cringeworthy. I don't want to talk about him anymore. This is it. This is the last podcast where he's involved, unless I don't know whatever the hell he does. But Golden Boy needs to, in my opinion, release him. Let somebody else deal with him. You let him go back to fighting in TJ like he originally did. Let's see how that works out. Let him go fight for Heyman. Let him get bench at Heyman. Let him get used by Heyman. Let Heyman, end up throwing tank at him. Anybody else, they got to run his division. We all know Ryan's capabilities, and we know what he's capable of. We know what type of future he has. Let's see if he does that great as Golden Boy has made him look. I get it. He's a popular kid. Doesn't mean he can fight. Anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about something else. Let's actually talk about the fights that actually happened. And from StubHub, yeah. Again, I don't like calling it the Dignity Health Center, but from StubHub, from the Home Depot Center, from Carson, California, the great Jaime Mungia came back. But you know what? Before we get into Jaime Mungia, one quick thing. It's pissing me off. Don Amador needs to stop playing boxing. Eso de no puedes jugar boxeo, you can't play boxing, the phrase he adopted. He needs to take a good look in the mirror and say, you know what? Sometimes I might be underqualified. This job as a translator, it's probably the worst Spanish or English translation I heard since I used to listen to La Que Buena and listen to Don Cheto. His way of translating things is just pathetic. There's hundreds and millions of Mexican Americans that could do that job, that could speak both languages and very fluently. I get it. He's great at overselling things in Spanish. He's great at those interviews. He catches a Mexican guy, nobody could talk better than him. Se pone acá su voz de locutor y empieza, all that fast Mexican Spanish, which is great. Again, it's great in Spanish. It's he has a great voice for Spanish TV. Great voice, great use of the Spanish language. But when you're trying to translate something in Spanish, from Spanish to English live on a broadcast, one, you take all the love and the passion out of the broadcast, and two, you're fucking saying some shit completely different. Get him the fuck out of there. Get it. Nice guy, but there's hundreds of other people that could do the job without sounding like a complete fucking idiot. Again, I like the guy. I think he's a good guy, and I like his YouTube channel, but this live broadcasting or live translating is one, it's not as easy as it looks. I get it. I don't think I could do it. But you should back the fuck up, and maybe Golden Boy or DAZN should think about choosing somebody else. But let's talk about the main event, which is Jaime Mungia. Jaime Mungia put on a hell of a fight. And I'm not saying because of the opposition. I get it. He was fighting that guy that looked just like Michael Jordan, sad face Michael Jordan, but it's the way he was moving around. It reminded me when he actually got brought in and beat Saddam Ali. Again, he stayed true to what he is. He's a brawler. He's a puncher. He's not cute, He went and attacked the body, used his jab. He was throwing some beautiful feints, and he looked good. He looked to be back on track to what he can be. And I believe he has the ability to be a complete monster at 160. But, again, it has to be versus the right fights to begin with. Again, this fight, I believe he won... he won what in the fourth round? I think in the third round he was beating up this kid, the kid couldn't take it in the body. He dropped him a couple of times. Even his facial expressions changed a bit. But yeah, that's the fun part about a TJ fighter. And I'm not saying that the insulting TJ fighter when you go get a cab driver and build up a record. Shout out again to Kingry. But I'm talking about the classic TJ fighter, the Morales, even to a certain extent, the Tijuana Tornado or Antonio Margarito, which is the stalking, how the feints that they throw, just the movement. Beautiful fighter. I wish him the best at 160 pounds because that's where it looks like he's going. But I would also like him to be very, very careful on how they move fighters, how he's transitioned into this carrying this extra weight because he's got to pack on muscle, not so much just be able to do another weight. In my opinion, they got to bring him in slow. They got to, again, not throw him in there with a Gennady, with a Canelo, at least for the next year and a half, or 2021 at least, because plain and simple, he's not ready. He's a kid and he's going up into a new weight division. If this was my fighter and I had a say so with this, I would love for him to be moved. First things first, a fight just as an introduction to the 160 pound, maybe bring in a guy that's with his own too, Rosado. I think he's still fighting. I won that. I think he's ranked at 160 pounds. He's a guy that came from 154 and seems to fit in 160 well. So why not put him in against a fighter like that? Again, just to give him a name, you give him a bit of exposure, you have him move around, walk around. A guy that has good legs, which Rosado does, likes to dance. Not dance, I'm sorry, but likes to box a bit more, uses Puerto Rican legs a bit more, and also likes to engage when the going gets tough. So why not? Rosado, lends himself to making an entertaining fight when push comes to shove. He starts bleeding and whatnot. So why not? Another fight. Again, we just saw Jeff Horn. Bring him on again. Let's use him. Use a Jeff Horn. Just again, get the juices flowing at 160 pounds, the new weight division. Golden Boy has fighters that are there for him too, like Terriano Johnson. Why not? Terriano Johnson's a brawler, guy that comes to fight. Why not? Skin the fat. You're trying to get, again, Golden Boy is to the point where they need to find their next superstar or just make good, solid fights. Use Terriano Johnson. And another guy, that they could use. And I think eventually they could do a good, prospect into contender, a fight, or at least a fight for eliminator. Jason Quigley. Jason Quigley is a guy that just lost. Give him a couple of fights, put him back in a winning record. Put him back in there with a winning record. Let him fight a guy like like Mungia, and why not towards the end of 2020 put him, Jason Quigley versus Mungia could be a great fight. Jason Quigley has been at 160 his whole career. He doesn't look like he struggles to make weight. His frame looks like it's perfect for 160 pounds, and why not? I would love a fight between Jason Quigley and Mungia. I know that Jason Quigley will love that fight as well. So something like that. And another thing I wanted to give credit to, because there was a there was a 168-pound woman fight, and I'm not a big fan of Marisela Cornejo, but you have to give credit when credit's due. If the rumors are true that she took the fight on a week notice, or two, I don't believe it was 2 days, but within a week notice, that's very commendable, because I think she showed a great account of herself when she fought the Diva. And again, it's funny how the roles switched. Last time she fought the Diva, Diva came in, and I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember if it was in Cancun or not, but they fought for a belt, and of course the Diva won. Hell of a fighter, and I believe she was the one that gave clearance to show this tougher fight. Maricela decides she wants to fight her again, or she tries to save a fight, and comes to fight, and puts on a better performance than she did when she had a full camp. So it just shows you that sometimes you got to respect these fighters. You kind of give them shit because, again, the whole Instagram, and I'm an Instagram model. I only wear this and that. But when a fighter comes in on 2 or a week notice, and puts on a good performance, you got to commend her for what they did. So kudos to her. Another guy in that same card that deserves credit, and maybe I'm just giving credit to the losers here, but is Ivan Delgado. Ivan Delgado actually fought Romero Duno in that fight with Romero Duno. It was a bit weird because I don't know if it was too much distraction for Duno, thinking that he was going to fight Ryan. He wasn't going to fight, then he was going to fight him, then he wasn't. And at the end of the day, he ended up fighting his original opponent. But it seems like he struggled a bit with Delgado. But Delgado shows you, again, he has a little fire in him. I believe he got out of jail, which is kind of interesting. He got out of jail about 30 days ago, or 30 days prior to his fight, and he still showed a great account of himself. So it shows that the kid with a good training camp, he has a fight in him, especially to go rounds with Duno. Look, he was at the end, I think around the 3rd or 4th round, was it the 5th? By the 5th round, he was fighting Duno back, and he was actually winning a couple of rounds. So, get it. He got gassed. He didn't have the best training camp. He didn't even make weight because, again, very short 4-week camp. But he deserves all the credit in the world, so good for them. And Duno, again, I want to see him again. I don't know if he was distracted, but he didn't look his best, at least in my opinion. And yeah, other than that, the fight, the other card that actually happened was on what's supposed to be Cinco de Mayo week. It was supposed to be Canelo fighting, and God knows who he was going to fight, because there was like 1,000 offers, and supposedly nobody got him. Nobody wanted to fight Canelo. Whatever. But the Gypsy Tyson Fury fought in Las Vegas. He took over Mexican Independence Day. He was the guy that got promoted as a Mexican assassin. He came out with a sombrero. He came out with Mexican colored gloves. But can we fucking stop with the clout chasing, man? Like, look, if you're Mexican, great. If you're not, that's fucking cool too. But don't cater to a culture that isn't yours. Look, we learned this from Golovkin, the Mexicans for Golovkin. I think it's almost hurting him a bit more, because I get it why it was done. Mexico needed a champion at that time, and nobody was up for it. Canelo was fighting guys from 147 when Golovkin was coming up, blowing all these 160-pounders. Chavez Jr. was, getting high and eating cereal in his tantarans. So we needed that guy. There was no legitimate force in Mexican boxing other than Gallito. And again, even Gallito was very unknown. and we needed that. But now you see Golovkin. I mean, he doesn't even want to speak. No more cute catchphrase, no more Mexican style, no more none of this. So it kind of left a bitter taste in my mouth as far as clout chasing. So when you sit here and listen to Bob Arum say, you know what, the gypsies are like the Mexicans and blah blah, they suffer. Look, man, at this point the story was great, but I'm just sick and tired of it. I don't think you need to be Mexico or show homage to Mexico or anything like that. All you got to do knows how to fight. And I think Mexican fans in general are pretty smart about things. Look, they a lot of them love Floyd. A lot of them, I mean, let's not say Mike Tyson. I think most Mexican American fighters, fight fans, I'm sorry, always loved Mike Tyson. We loved our Haglers. I mean, we just love fan-friendly fighters. But never has the clout chasing for a flag has been so apparent that it is today. You don't have to do that. Boxing fans are not stupid. You're not impressing you by wearing a sombrero. You're impressing you by knocking a motherfucker out. And that's exactly what this guy didn't do. The Gypsy King didn't knock anybody out. The Gypsy King was more of a Floyd-esque fighter. And that's what he is. That's why I'm not really interested in watching this fight. That's why I'd rather go out on a Saturday night with my wife than actually sit here and watch a Gypsy King fight. Because if I open up a beer, I'm going to just go to sleep. I need to have a espresso shot or something. Café de olla to clout Mexicans here. He's just not an interesting fighter. And that's exactly what happened this weekend. And that's what I was almost scared of this guy. Because he's fighting all these fighters that no one knows about. But he's fighting all these fighters with... Because at the end of the day, anytime you fight, there's an ability that you might get hurt. Not everything is going to go your way. Sometimes it's not going to be your day. And it almost wasn't, because this kid, Otto Walling, whatever his name was, gave him a hell of a fight. He won arguably what? Well, let's just say, let's give him 4 rounds. 4 rounds is still plenty to make it a good fight. He cut him up. He quite possibly compromised the fight with Deontay Wilder. All for what? For over-marination. That's the one thing Bob Arum is great at, over-marinating a fight into non-existence. I think most of us had enough, at least personally me. Again, it is fun, listening to Tyson Fury, but when it comes to fight night, do you care? No, I don't care. I mean, I don't care. I know a lot of you guys do, and that's great, and that's the beauty about boxing, because I can like this fighter, and you can the next guy can't, will detest him, and so on and so forth. That's the beauty about having so many different styles. But yeah, that's the weekend. So now what happens with Tyson Fury? I mean, he's got a huge cut. He was supposed to fight in February. Is that fight in jeopardy? I think so. Are they going to try to keep him active? Sure, but that please don't tell me that a guy that punches like Wilder does is not going to go after that cut. Did not see the activity of Otto Walling. There's things that you could learn from a lot from this fight, even if you won. The Gypsy King is very beatable. Activity beats him. You trying to knock him out, one punch doesn't. But again, activity does beat the guy, especially if you're his height. As far as the weekend, I mean, as far as this card, I think we saw, a couple of prospects. Again, good fight. I kind of skimmed through it, to be honest with you. It wasn't a fight that was as big and on my mind as it should be. But that's it for the fight weekend. As far as fights coming up, I think from Midland, Texas, we have Showtime. Oh shit, Showtime's making a comeback. And they will show Michael Dutch over. They will show up the classic guys, Michael Dutch over, Ruben Villa, and Brandon Lee. Brandon Lee's actually a solid kid. It was a while where I really wasn't a fan of him, because he kept promoting himself, knocking out his sparring partners, and let's be honest, I don't like that shit. But Again, he's a very good fighter. That doesn't take away from his talent. He's a solid kid. So that's going to be on Showtime, and that's going to be September 20th in Midland, Texas. Also, September 20th from Las Vegas on Mayweather Promotions. I think you got a bunch of Facebook-like fights. Guys like Maurice Lee, Malik Hawkins, and whatnot. So, again, something to watch. The best thing about those Facebook fights is that you could troll and be on your phone and talk shit to the announcers at the same time. Shout out to Beto Duran. And, again, bunch of local cards. Also on Thompson, speaking of Facebook Live, Thompson Boxing. I think before that they have the opponent, the guy that was supposed to fight. What's this kid named Ryan Garcia? Peter Petrov, and that's something we didn't get into because he declined that fight too. Of course, he declined. Peter Petrov is actually fighting Dedrick Bell. It should be a fun 8-round fight. Mauricio Hernandez, Isaac Zarate. Isaac Zarate is the guy that kind of looks like Victor Ortiz, a good little solid fighter. Fighter's fighter. So a solid guy. Of course, on the 21st from Bakersfield, California, we got Peter Quillen versus Fred Angulo. Fred Angulo is fighting again Peter Quillen at super middleweight. Why? Best of luck, Alfredo Angulo. You had your better days, and even that was about 5 years ago. One good thing about that card, and this is a shameless plug, Francisco Ochoa is fighting Clay Burns. And again, another developmental fight. I hope Francisco Ochoa does well, kicks ass, and keeps going. Let's see. There's a classic PBC fight. They don't have fights, but when they do, it's about 1 million of them in the same card. September 1st, also from Mexicali on Facebook Watch, or Manud, friend of the podcast, the only guest in the podcast. Joseph Diaz fights Jesus Cuadro in a 10-round junior lightweight fight. Look, man, I have a soft spot for JoJo. Anytime JoJo fights, I am going to watch, so you know what I will be doing on the 21st. A couple other local fighters. Again, I'm guessing Mexican fighters because I have no idea who the rest are. Again, it looks like about a 10 fight card. So if you're in Mexicali, why not go get some Mexican Chinese food and I'm sure you have a good time. I also, yesterday when I said I was going to do the podcast, I tend to go on Instagram more than I do on Twitter, and this is completely my fault. But I like to go out there and ask questions. What do you guys want to answer with? And please make it all questions of all shape, forms, and walks of life. Of course, they're all boxing, so let's get to it. First is Damien. Damien is a very interesting gentleman. He works with True Boxing Heads. Pero medio mamoncito el muchachito. Damien asks, Emmanuel Navarrete versus Rey Vargas, is it a possibility? Why not? Emmanuel Navarrete is obviously with Top Rank. And Rey Vargas is co-promoted by Golden Boy. Golden Boy is doing a card, with Joette and of course, Top Rank is bringing Shakur Stevenson. They've done multiple fights before, so why not an all Mexican, 6 foot, 122 pound brawl? I love the fight. The only thing is with Top Rank is that if they are not a guaranteed winner, most of the time they're not willing to risk their fighter. And as a matter of fact, Golden Boy is sending one of his fighters versus Jamel Herring in the next couple of months. So is it a possibility? Fuck yeah, it is. Will they do it? Probably no, because this is fucking... it's too much of a good fight to come true. But look, both of the guys are fucking beasts. Why not make it happen? I hope they do. It would be great, early February or something. So bring it on. Let's see. Boxing Bros asks, what do you think? Who do you think will win between David Haney and Gervonta Davis now that Davis has gone to 135 pounds? Look, I don't think they would fight because, look, let's be honest. Gervonta Davis is even short for 30 pounds. Now he's going to 135 pounds. David Haney is the guy that's bursting at the seams at 135 pounds. I don't see David Haney being at 135 much longer. If anything, I see David. I see Haney. Devin Haney. I don't know why I keep calling him David Haney. Devin Haney fighting maybe 2, maybe quite possibly 3 fights at 135 pounds. So if you put him in right now, who would win? I think Tank is the more experienced guy. Would it be a pretty fight? Absolutely not. One, weight matters, and 2, height matters as well. It'll be one guy beating the shit out of the ribs, and the other guy just pop shotting kids to the head. So no, I don't personally. I don't like it. Let's see. Al Chile Boxing ask, is Ryan nearing the end with Golden Boy? If so, will Canelo leave as well? Is Ryan having? You know what, Ryan? Sure, I think so. I think it's best for Golden Boy to let him go. Let him figure out his way out there. Let him fight on YouTube. Let him fight on Instagram Live. I mean, I don't know. A future Golden Boy, I don't see him having. And it's sad because, like I said, I think he got a lot of welfare fights, and I said that in the beginning. He got a lot of fights that almost didn't deserve a paycheck. I know it sounds brutal, but these are all developmental fights. And Golden Boy, even Oscar, at some point even would go hang out with him, buy him watches, do ridiculous stunts for YouTube. And to say that he wasn't treated well, to me, it's disrespectful, and I would say fuck him. Let's see, who else? Turi805, and shout out to Turi, he has a podcast. Well, I can't remember the name of it. Oh, it's AA Sports. So Turi_805 says, ESPN ruined that Fury fight for me. I enjoyed the fights, but the commentary was terrible. Joe Tessitore goes on his golf thing where he starts talking like this, and this guy throws a left jab and the left jab goes in, and he throws a right. I don't get it. He starts whispering like he's fucking calling golf. I don't get it. Kind of like personally, I like the craziness of Tim Bradley. He reminds me of your crazy fucking uncle, or the guy that fixes your carburetor down the street, because he just starts screaming odd shit. Honestly, Andre Ward is I like him. As long as he doesn't tap himself in the shoulder every 10 seconds, I mean, I like him. His analysis is great. I think that's a lot of Ryan fights questions. Juice_go says, is Ryan going to PBC, or is Canelo and team one them under Canelo Promotions? You know what? I didn't even thought about Canelo Promotions because it's such a non-entity. Why not? I mean, I think they could manage him well, and they could, if they really wanted to, they could push him to the zone. Why not? Let's see. What do I think about the zone competition? I like all of them. With the except when one of the greats, Sugar Ray Leonard announces. I like the way Sergio Mora is coming into himself. He's really doing well. The only thing, like I said, I don't like is that no puede jugar boxeo guy. He's dreadful. He's hard to listen to, and honestly, pisses me the fuck off. Spanish commentary is amazing as well. So I like everybody, but the no puede jugar boxeo guy. He's, again, and I don't mean to be an asshole. I don't mean to be disrespectful. Yo sé que está más grande, señor. I know that the guy's a little older, but he's just not my cup of tea. I don't think it's not like some older guy that you could appreciate, like Larry Merchant, where yes, he might have talked a little slower towards the end, but everything that he spit out of his mouth was gold. It's the complete opposite with the no puede jugar boxeo guy. Everything he spits out of his mouth is utter shit. So I don't want to listen to that. And let's see, and that's pretty much it. Guys, thank you guys so much for listening. This is about a 45-minute podcast. I wanted to make it a little shorter for you guys, but excuse me. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so. Do it on YouTube. Do it on Spotify. Do it on iTunes, which is also great. Do it. Listen to it however you guys listen to it. Please do so. Thank you guys so much. This has been the Missing Boxing Guru podcast. Thank you. Gracias. Y ahí nos vemos.